Alright, my camcorder ran out of battery right at the end of the previous lesson, so I'm going to finish up what we were doing on lesson 1 there, and then we'll do lesson 2. But to finish up here with rhythm, and we're not going to insist on perfect rhythm yet, okay? We're trying to learn how to read the spots on the page. We'll be aware of rhythm, we'll try to do it when we can, but we're not going to insist on perfection on the rhythm, because sometimes we have to pause just to figure out what the next note is, so we're not going to penalize ourselves just because, the rhythm, because we need to figure out a note. But let's take a minute to look at rhythm. As you know, a measure, here we talked about a measure before in the last lesson. We're going to have 4 counts in this measure, and remember the time signature said 4, 4 at the top. If I scroll to the top of this piece, you would see the 4, 4. The top number tells us we're going to have 4 counts in each measure. We're going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we could do it for each measure. We could count to 4. So 4 counts in each measure. But we need to know how many counts to give each note. Whenever you have a black note like this, it's called a quarter note. Okay, there are 4 quarter notes here. The black note with a stem on it. It gets 1 count. And that's how we count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want that rhythm, that tempo to be steady, like the ticking of a clock. And we can slow our clock down so it ticks really slow to give us time to get to the next note. But 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the speed at which we play these quarter notes. Okay, that's a quarter note. Now let's take a look at a white note here. This is a white note called a half note. It also has a stem on it. That's called a half note. It gets 2 counts. It gets 2 numbers. Okay, it's bigger. It lasts longer. So if I count this measure right here, I count 1 on that quarter note, count 2 goes to that quarter note, and then count 3 and count 4 will be for my half note, because remember, a half note gets 2 numbers, 2 counts. So it's bigger. It gets 2 numbers. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4. See how I held that 1 note for count 3 and count 4? Made it last longer. That's a half note. One more kind of note to talk about at this moment, and that'll be the whole note over here. It's a goose egg. It's a white note, but no stem on it. Guess how many counts it's going to get all by itself? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the whole measure belongs to that whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So quarter note 1 count, half note 2 counts, whole note 4 counts. Now, I would like to play through this whole thing for you now. I didn't do it before because I didn't want you to memorize it, what it sounds like, and play by memory. Okay? I want you to use this opportunity to read notes when you first learn something. And then you can hear me play it and know what it sounds like and compare. Alright, so I had to zoom out. Maybe you can't see as good, but I have to be able to see the whole page. So here we go. I'm going to get my hands in C position. My thumb, right hand thumb on middle C. D, E, F, G. So I'm in C position. Left hand, pinky goes on C, D, E, F, G. I have both hands in position. Even though the left hand's not going to play for a while already, I got it ready to go. Okay? Alright, here we go. Ready? Go. 1, 2, E, F, G, F, E, D, C, E, F, E, C. Left hand. So see, I tried to do the rhythm when I could, but if you have to pause to find the next note. Of course, the rhythm is going to be thrown off a bit, but I want you to emphasize your note reading, not rhythm. Okay, we'll talk about rhythm. Be aware of it. Do it when you can. But as soon as you can play it something like that, close to that, even if you're slower, that's okay. But as soon as you can get through it, what you're going to do, you should have already, the sheet that had repertoire, new pieces, and flashcards, you should have written lesson 1, because that's what this is. See? Lesson 1, C position, say it, play it. You should have written that under new pieces. Now, as soon as you get it down, you may get it down today. You may get it down 2 days from now, or 3 days, or whatever, how long it takes you. Mark it off, and then write it in the repertoire section. Now it becomes a piece that we're just going to play through and not really practice hard. Okay, we're just going to play through it. All right. So, assuming you've done that, and also done your flashcards. Did you get your flashcards out today? Did you get the right hand flashcards out? The C, D, E, F, G on the right hand. Set them up, and then play through them. Say them and play them, and then shuffle them up and do them again. Remember, you only want these 5. Now the right hand, there are like 12 of them. Only get out these 5, the C, D, E, F, G that we've learned. Only get those for the right hand, not the left hand, just the right. Set them up, practice them, reshuffle them, play them, reshuffle them, and then get the left hand out. Here's the 5 on the left hand, C, D, E, F, G. Play them, reshuffle them, play them, reshuffle them, and then you're finished for that day, 30 minutes, okay? If you want to go a little bit over 30, that's fine. Don't kill yourself. Now, let's get to lesson 2. Now, lesson 2 is our new piece. So, here it is. Lesson 2, C position, a childhood tune. I didn't write the name of it, because I use some folk songs when we're doing this. I don't write the names of them because I don't want you to know what it sounds like. Okay, if we're going to play such and such, song, I'm not going to tell you what it is, because then you'll listen and use your ear. You don't know what this sounds like. So I'll play it for you at the end. Okay, not now. We're going to use our reading opportunity. All right, so let me zoom out. See, we have 3 lines here again, but I'm going to zoom in so that you can see on your video very well. Hopefully you can see that. It should be pretty big. Now, let's take a look at it. We're about to start. All right, so if you're starting out your day on your practice session, you shouldn't start on this. You should do your repertoire first. What's your repertoire? Or your repertoire? Lesson 1. Play through it. If you haven't done that, pause the video and do that. And then I'll see you back here. All right, so here we go. Here's lesson 2. We start out with what? What is this called again? I'm going to ask you these things. What is that called? It's called a treble clef. What is this called? It's called a bass clef. Left hand. Treble clef was right hand. What was this thing on the side that connected the 2 staves? A brace. What are these 4 spaces and 5 lines called? The staff. Treble staff, bass staff. Okay, very good. Now, what is this line called right here? A bar line. A bar line separates what? The measures. A measure. Measure. How many measures do you see on this page right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measures. Measure 6 is here. It's a good reference point if I say where. Look at measure 6, okay? I didn't put a time signature in this one, but normally we would have 4, 4, okay? So let's put that there. 4, 4. The top number 4 tells us 4 counts in a measure. Do we? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 counts. Let's look at this measure. The first 2 counts are taken up by quarter notes. Count 1, count 2. But this half note gets how many counts? 2. So that 1 half note gets count 3 and count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now the first thing I want you to do, as we start this, we can see it's right hand. Get in C position. Okay? Get your hand in C position. Look at that first note. Tell me what it is. It's either a C, D, E, F, or G. What is it? It's an E because it has that line going through it. So you can write it in or not write it in. All right, the second note. Yes, it goes down. Yes, it goes to the left. But what's it called? We don't want to just go down and play the note, even though we may get it. We want to know that it is a D. E-D. What's this next one? Easy one. Got a line through it. What's the only note that has that little ledger line through it? C. And then we go back up to what? D. Okay? And let's go through that. E. D. C. D. Say it, play it. What's that? E. What's that? Another E. What's that? Another E. What's that? Underneath the staff. It's a D. Another D. Another D. We'll count 3, 4. 3, 4 for our counts. Because, you know, if we get a chance to do it, we'll do our rhythm. E. Second line up. What's that? Is that an F? No, it's a G. We know it goes up, but don't just go up and play the next note. Alright, because it's not F, it's G because it's on the second line. G, G, 3, 4. Counts 3 and 4. Where do we go back to here? Sometimes it's good to just mark the beginning of each measure, just to give yourself a little help. See, each measure I put the name and I write it in. And then soon we won't need to write them in anymore. E, D, C, and then a D, and then an E, and then 2 more E's. Okay? And so that's the first staff there. Let's scroll down some more. All right, we see some more right hand. What's the first one? Underneath the staff, it's a D, right? I'm going through this with you just like I would if you were my student in my house. D, D, up to E, back down to D, back down to C. We're going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now, we see the notes go down here now. So what? Bass clef, right? So we're looking at bass clef. Now let's look at this first note. People always have more trouble with the bass clef. They always do. We know it's a C, D, E, F, or G. We know we're supposed to be in C position, so I'll get in the C position. So what is it? Do you know from doing your flashcards yesterday what note is in the 1, 2, 3 space for left hand? It is an E, my friend. So I'm going to write E to start with. Write them in. Don't be too proud to write a few notes in here and there. The reason it's not going to hurt us is because we're going to play so many things. Okay, it will help to write. We're not going to stay on the same piece. If you had all the notes written on the same piece we do every day, yeah, that would hurt. But we're going to be moving on. So write it in. E, we go down. We can see that we go down. And we know that notes that go down on the piano go to the left. We can see it goes down 1 note, but that's not good enough. What's the name of the note? D. It's on the line. Next note. Second space. That makes it a C. Okay, now we go back to this one. We just did this one. What was it? D. Now I'm going to try to not write them in for a while. That's an E, E, and then another E. We'll count to 3, 4. Now we have 3 Ds. D, 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 E, G, G. Now a little note about looking at your hands. Yes, it's true that good sight readers, you don't want to look at your hands a whole lot. But you might have to look when you're first starting to make sure you're on the right note. And that's okay. Look down a little bit. But you want to know what the keyboard looks like. How are you going to know what it looks like if you never look at it? So you can look a little bit, but yes, we want to try to not look down every note. Try to look up as much as you can. Try to see the keyboard peripherally. You kind of see where you are, but you're still looking at the music. Okay, let's continue on. Alright, last line. See how I make these pretty short. Okay, I don't want them to be too long. I want us to have quick successes. One success right after another. Gives us confidence. Alright, we're continuing. Which hand? Left hand. Alright, we start with the first note of the measure, so I'm going to write it in. It's a good old E. So we're going to write that in. Now, we'll go on to here. We go down. We can see that we go down. But let's know that it's a D because it's on the third